She's like an expert here.
Welcome to What's the Effort?
What the F?
Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Today is a lovely Monday, and I feel very, very happy because I have not only an exceptional real estate investor and mom and wife and entrepreneur, but also a friend. And that is really awesome. I have Carolina Allen with us today. Thank you, Carolina, very, very much for agreeing. Thank you for agreeing to come. You're a doll and a half, and I appreciate you more than my words can say. So thank you.
Hey, I'm just happy to be here. Thank you for having me, Effie. I love you, lady.
Oh, wow. If that's all I needed to do.
Yeah, there you go.
Winning already.
There you go.
Oh, wow. All right. So there's a lot of ground we want to cover, I think, because there's a lot that you have to offer. And I have gotten to know you over a couple of years. And now I'd like for, this will live forever on the internet, so to speak. Hi, Julie.
Oh, Julie's on here. Hey, girl.
She is. And I do want to let people get as much of an understanding of you as possible.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you something that I haven't asked you myself, and that is, what were you like as a kid? When you were
as a kid? Wow, this is a good question. I was incredibly shy. I mean, I came to this country an immigrant, right? I was born in South America, Santiago, Chile. I had to learn the language, so I spoke Spanish fluently, didn't know any English.
What age were you when you came?
I was almost 4 when I came to this country. I came to Oregon. My parents were here already, so I was with my grandparents for a couple of years. My parents came here to Oregon to pretty much work. And when I came here, I had a little brother. So it was, it was interesting. I don't remember much about it other than, just little tidbits. It was such a long time ago, but yeah.
So you had stayed in Chile with your grandma, and then you came here and found out you got a little brother?
Yeah. Yes.
An Americano, for heaven's sake.
Right. Exactly.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. That must have been a bit of an adjustment.
Yeah. A little bit of a culture shock. I know I was I love my grandmas so much. They were beautiful. They're both in heaven now, but they were just amazing, beautiful women. So strong, so funny. I mean, I just loved them to bits. And they taught me a lot of cooking as well. So I just have really, really fond memories. I wish they were here, local to us growing up, but they would come visit, they would stay for a couple months, and I just have really great memories of them.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So by the time you got to me, you're so warm and you're so kind and I think outgoing that it's hard for me to imagine you as being shy. Although I too had language issues, so I know, um, you know, I know a
Yeah.
little bit about that. But
Yeah.
talk to me about when you were in high school. What were you like when you were in high school?
I was still pretty quiet. I mean, I was more like, let me just get the work done. And I was in the background, just didn't, I came from very humble beginnings. My parents were immigrants. They came to this country with nothing. And so, I remember being in a high school where it was a really good neighborhood. And so, you know, teenage years are tough. They're so tough. People can be kind of mean. So I'm like, I'm gonna stay under the radar. I'm not talking to anybody. So just
Mhm,
had my little core of friends.
mhm.
And once I was in, I definitely open up and I start talking to people and show you. But I got to trust you first. So
Okay.
yeah.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh my gosh, I had different things I wanted to be. So at one point, I wanted to be a nurse. I've always had like a heart for helping, and I've just loved that. So I wanted to be a nurse at one point, and then at one point, I was like, wow, I'd love to be able to help the Hispanic community, maybe like work with immigrants and children and that kind of thing. And then I switched over to wanting to do more like psychology, like a therapist, and help people that are struggling. So I did bounce around, but essentially it really all came down to just a place of service and wanting to help people. So yeah. And then later on, as I got older, got married to Stephen, I actually did go back to culinary school and became a pastry chef. So that was really fun too. So
Oh my God.
yeah.
I could never be a pastry chef.
Oh, so relaxing.
I think I don't have that kind of patience. And then I'd want to eat everything. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that was the fun part is I get to like make the things, right? And then I can have a little bit and then give the rest to everybody else. I wasn't eating it all.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Now, when did you first start decide that you're gonna go into real estate? Because
Oh my gosh. I don't know that I fully decided. We should have Steven on here at some point. It's so funny. But Steven, so he read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I think a lot of us do that, right? And then he had me read it. And then next thing I know, he signs us up for like a 3-day event here in Portland because I'm out in Oregon. And I'm like, what are you taking me to? So I'm sitting there like literally with my arms crossed. I'm like, what did you drag me to? Because I'm like, oh gosh, they're gonna try to sell us something, yada yada. But as
or
I'm
is this a
watching,
Jehovah Witness group?
oh,
What's
it's
going on?
yeah, it totally. So I didn't know about this world at all. But then by the end of the 3-day event, my arms were down and I'm like, we need to sign up. Like, we're not ready for retirement. We're not ready for our kids going to college. I mean, I'm old school. We're not ready for any of this. So yeah, so we signed up and it was a very expensive mentorship. And I think that was like the fuel because then going back to my roots, I'm like, oh my gosh, we just dumped so much money on this thing. We have to make it work now.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Was it one of those 6-month things or a year thing?
It was so the way they sell it, it's webinars. It's geared
Mhm.
more for fix and flip, cash buyers.
Oh.
It didn't really talk too much. I mean, it has different curriculums. I really do like their website. They put quite a bit of money into it, but they're all webinars. Um, and then they had live events that you could go to as well called boot camps. But the thing that was really missing was the sales and negotiation. So
Mm.
stay-at-home mom, and now I have to go out there and negotiate hundreds of thousands of dollars off of a purchase of a house. Like, what? Are you kidding me? So, and they didn't talk about creative finance either. That wasn't in the curriculum. We
Oh, so
had
it was all cash deals.
yeah, yeah, and then we had coaching calls as well. But the coaching calls were interesting because when you're doing real estate, you need an answer right now. I can't wait a whole week to get my answer. So the coaching calls were kind of limited. And so I just kind of feel like as we went along, we just had to find answers on our own kind of or team up with people that knew a little bit more than we did.
Mhm. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So you actually had started, how many years ago was that?
So we started that mentorship in 2019.
Okay. All right. And so the kids were big enough to be in school. You had a
Mhm.
little more extra time.
Yep.
All right. Well, I would like, if you don't mind, would you be okay if I showed the family for a minute?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, because It's fun to see. When I take a look at this picture, I just love it. Hold on a second. Let me see if I am going to do this right. I think I'm not. That's weird. My apologies.
Oh, it's all good.
Here we go. There we go. So I know you and I know Stephen, and
Mhm.
you have 3 children. Who's the oldest?
So the oldest
Oh,
is
wait,
Jade.
this
Oh,
isn't
is
working.
it
My
coming up? I'm like,
apologies. No, it's not. That's not good.
it's all good. Oh,
Sorry,
that's so
guys.
funny.
It's so funny that you think I'm all right, but then why isn't this? Oh,
Did you double click it
I
or no?
did double click it.
Oh, no.
I don't know why it's not. Oh, that's interesting. Ah!
Gotta love technology. Girl, it's not just you. It happens to all the
All
best
right,
of us.
let's try it again. Okay, hold on, sorry, guys. Just sorry. All
Hey,
right,
this
here.
is real. Happens
Yeah,
to
that's
everybody.
what happens when you're live, right? It
Yeah. Oh,
catches you. Oh,
absolutely.
there we go. Yay! All right,
All
that's a
right.
beautiful picture.
Ah, thank
Tell
you.
It's
So the
very
guy yeah, so the guy in the middle, that handsome guy with the gray shirt, that's our oldest, Jaden. He will be 21 in June, which is crazy. He's 3rd year at OSU.
wow.
Such a smart kid, that one. Yeah, kills me. And then our daughter is to the left of Steven. She is 18. She's graduating this year from high school, which is
That's an important
incredible.
time.
Yeah, yeah. And then the handsome guy on the other side of me is our son Bryson. He is 15. He'll actually be 16 the end of this month. And yeah, he's homeschooling right now, which is I never thought I'd be a homeschool mom, but here we are.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know what's also interesting is I think that they look like both you guys, but they definitely have Steven's height.
I was wondering if you're going to point that out. Yes, I am definitely the shortest one in the family.
Well, you know
Yes.
what? I don't know how you feel about this, Carolina, but I would love that.
Yeah.
I was just a little bit above short, like I fell into medium, but just barely.
Mhm.
And I always hoped my kids would be tall.
Yeah.
So when my daughter, she's 5'9",
Oh,
5'10",
wow.
she's
Yeah.
tall. And
Yeah.
my son is more average. He's more like 5'9", 5'10".
There you
I
go.
was like, "Phew, at least they're not going to take after me for being short." Because I like tall.
Yeah. Yeah. They definitely
Beautiful.
take after Steven, that is for sure.
Very well. I see I see similarities, particularly in your daughter, but also your son. But the sons, but the height for sure
Yeah.
is awesome.
Oh, 100%.
Well, thank you for that. I
They come
appreciate
in
it.
handy to get, like, the items that I can't reach, so I don't need a stool.
Exactly. Yeah, you better believe it. That's why we marry tall men.
Yes, there you go. There you go.
Yep. Yep. Just the ones that are. Oh, John.
What did
John
you say?
says short people are just the ones that
Aw,
perfected sooner.
I love
Oh,
you, John.
that's so
That's so
cute.
sweet.
Very, very nice. Ah, hi, Daniel. Good to see you. Thank you guys for joining us. Interested in knowing, you started in 2019 with
Mhm.
another mentorship, and it was more on fix and flip.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, Carolina, where the heck did you get the idea to do fix and flip? And you're a wholesaler.
I
I never
know.
saw it, but
Yeah,
you
I do
look like a
wholesaling,
wholesaler. You
right?
know,
Wholesaling and buy and hold. So, yeah, I know. We were crazy, but that's kinda where we started, and I feel like a lot of times we kinda pivot, right? So, um, yeah, then we found out wholesaling. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is great. I can make some money. I can offer it to my buyers, and I don't have to take on the renovation." I imagine, though, sometime here in the future, because laws are changing here in Oregon, we probably will do a fix and flip, and just get that off our little list of to-dos.
I've done fixes for myself and
Mhm.
then eventually flipped them,
Yeah.
when I moved out, but I hadn't done them for other people.
Yeah.
John Sump, it was a, champion in that. He's really, really good at it.
Oh, he's awesome.
But to do it for other people, I think it's too much work.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
for
yeah.
sure.
So when did you start actually wholesaling and how did you join Sub2? Talk to us a little bit about
Oh,
that
yeah, yeah.
journey and what was Stephen doing in this?
St I'm trying to remember what Steven was doing. So he's still working his 9 to 5. I mean, I'm grateful that he does, because until you get really consistent in real estate, I mean, we still got bills to pay, right? So I'm very fortunate for that. And then he's got this brain for technology. He's a software engineer. So definitely doing the back end office things to keep us organized has been really great. But for me, so at that time with zero sales experience, and I'm like, I got to get stuff going here. I got to do this. I just started getting on the phones. I started going on market, talking to agents, and sometimes I wish I had recorded those first few conversations, because they were bad. They were so bad. I remember the first agent I called, I was sweating, my hand was shaking, and the agent asked me, "What company are you with?" And I totally blanked on our business name, and I gave him the mentorship name, and I'm like, and I hung up. It was so bad.
I'm sorry. I love it. I
Oh,
love it.
it's hilarious. I laugh at it. Yeah, but I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that." But you
That
just get back
reminds me
up.
of Munif, on that,
Yeah,
this is a practice call. And then he hangs
totally.
up before they pick up because he was so nervous.
Yeah,
So,
totally. The nerves get to you, but over time, you just get to the point that you start you start knowing what to say, and the conversation becomes your own. So, I always tell people it's like riding a bike, right? We're never perfect I mean, I know I wasn't. I scraped my knees. I fell several times before figuring out how to balance on that thing. But the only way you're going to get better is by doing it. And, you just can't give up. Can't give up.
so
So.
when you were calling to agents were you also calling to sellers?
I was just calling the agents, because that's all I knew at the time. And
So what were
so
you trying to accomplish? What was it that
I
you
was
were?
just looking for like fixer properties on market, right? That they looked kind of a little janky, run down just from the pictures. And I'm like, let's see what we can do here, right? Just taking action, really. I needed to pay ourselves, because I mean, I'll tell you, you're going to have a shock factor. We spent 40,000 on that first mentorship. And so I'm like, that's a lot of money, right? Starting out, I need to pay us back. That was my fire. And so I was talking, yeah, and I was also calling for sale by owner as well. And just trying to figure out the conversation. And then because that mentorship didn't show me the sales. Hey, Joelle. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of people watching.
There are.
So that mentorship really didn't show me how to talk and what to look for. So I think Steven might have actually found Jerry Norton online. So YouTube, Jerry Norton, and I just watched a few of his lives calling people, and I'm like, and I word for word started writing down his script. And then over time, I started using that script. And then eventually I found one, and it worked out. It was a direct to seller deal. But I mean, and I tell people this not to discourage them. I really hope you guys are more awesome and know how to find the deal quicker than me. But it took me about 18 months. I mean, it took me about 18 months to find that first deal. And I finally got proof of concept, and it was just amazing. It was awesome.
Yeah. That should not discourage people.
No.
Anyone who is watching this and is just starting out in real estate, you should know that this is a long game. If you're thinking that, oh yeah, you're going to get your first deal within a couple of weeks or a couple of months, some people do, but most don't.
Right.
So it took me 2 years. It's
Yeah.
been 2 years, Carolina, before I
Yeah.
got my first deal. So
There
you
you
were
go.
much faster than me.
There you go.
But I am pretty stubborn,
That's
it's like,
okay.
I'm
That's
not
okay.
giving up, damn
Yeah.
it.
I know. I always tell people it takes a special kind of crazy to do what we do. And you have to be relentless. You can't give up. Got to keep going.
Yeah. You have to enjoy it a lot. So
Mhm.
Joel's asking about agent outreach. Do you like the outreach referrals?
It's okay. I mean, I've closed deals with agents, but my favorite still is direct to seller, to be honest. I kind of feel like with the agents, and no disrespect, because there might be some listening, but I feel like sometimes it's tough because I mean, we look for the unicorn agents, and the unicorn agent isn't one that's very common, right? It's the one that actually wants to work with investors. I've actually had agents tell me, I don't want to put in your offer because it's so low, and I'm embarrassed to have my name associated with it. So I'm like, wait a minute, you're working for me. I don't understand. So
Yeah.
it's just funny.
Yeah,
It's just
wait, but
finding
are
the right
you
agent.
embarrassed to get paid?
Yeah, exactly. It's
If
just
they
finding the
accept
right
it, will
agent.
you be embarrassed to be paid? I mean, what the heck?
Yes, yes. But so I think working with directly with the homeowner is just easier because if you have the agent involved, I feel like, you know, you remember that game, that telephone game that we used to play as a kid? I feel like,
Right.
please, I'm praying, please relay what I just said correctly to that homeowner and do not twist it around and make it your own, because that's the
Right.
problem is they're not, you don't always know if they're actually asking. You don't know if they're actually, some of these agents, when
Even
I'm
doing
talking to
it.
them, they have no clue why the homeowner is even selling. I had this one a couple months ago that I just like, I feel like my mind really shifted because I'm like, oh my gosh, I know so much more than some of these agents out there, and I don't even have a license. But it was this homeowner on market that one of my newer investors brought to me, and it was heading to foreclosure.
Mm.
And so I was trying to structure a creative, offer here because there wasn't a ton of equity on the property. And the agent, he's like, well, the auction's happening next week, so we can't do anything here. And so I'm like, well, as long as you have an active purchase agreement, that will pause the auction. Like, we can. He's like, wait a minute, what? He goes, because he apparently a couple weeks before got a full cash offer, which was obviously more appealing than my creative offer. And so he's like, that's all I need to do. And my mind was just blown that he didn't know that. Right. So I educated him. Yes, we got to help that homeowner. I lost the darn deal, but that's okay. I just loved that moment because I'm like, I know more than that agent did at that moment. And I
Yeah.
at least was able to help that homeowner. So karma, it'll come back eventually. But yeah.
Yes, I believe in karma very much so too. And it is interesting how little you have to know to get that real estate license. And then, it's almost like they just have to get the listing and that's what they think. And then they're done. They're going to make a lot of money.
Yep.
And I don't think so.
Yep.
But that is interesting. So the direct seller is your preference for sure.
Yeah, it's just you can have more of a real conversation. You can get to that motivation. You can really hone in on, what problem am I solving here? Because at the end of the day, that's what we do is we solve problems.
Hmm. Hmm. So talk to us a little bit about your very first deal. What was that like?
So my very first deal, it was actually out in Washington. So we had we're part of 4 mentorships. So our second
Or
mentorship, yeah, that we
okay,
jumped into kind of showed us how to, this was our first rental, but our first deal,
it's not even your first deal.
this wasn't even, no, my very first deal was out in Washington.
Okay.
And it was during COVID actually. So we had been posting in Facebook groups, and this gentleman, he comes to me, and basically he was a truck driver at the time working crazy long 10 to 12 hours because COVID, I mean, the only things that were open were grocery stores, if you remember. I mean, it was a crazy time. And so he had inherited a property from his family, had been living there, but the home just was becoming a massive fixer, right? And he just needed to be done. He didn't want to keep maintaining it. He just wanted the ease and convenience of a quick cash sale. So I was able to do a cash offer. And because of mentorship number 1, I had access to this members directory because I'm like, I'm hoping and praying I know what the heck I'm doing here because it's my first deal. But I had reached out to a member out there, and actually Kim, she's awesome. I've sold her a couple of deals since then. Because even with your buyers, it's about creating relationships with them. I always want to
Of
have
course.
repeat business and have, a good standing with them. Having a trusted buyer that's going to perform is like golden when you're a wholesaler. But anyway, yeah, and I was very transparent with her. I'm like, this is my first transaction. Like, I would love to work with you. Will you guide me in the process? And she was very graceful and amazing. And I try to do that with the people that I squat up with as well. But yeah, she held my hand a little bit. I had another guy actually walk the property too. And I'm really big on trusting my gut instinct. And he just gave me the heebie-jeebies, like something about him. He's just like, whatever offers you get, call me last and I'll pay you 5,000 more. But he never asked me what the homeowner needed. Kim,
Mhm.
she was a lot more into like, what else do you need? Like, I'm happy to help hold your hand. What does the homeowner need? And I'm like, well, he has a lot of like big furniture and kind of like odds and ends that he doesn't want to take with him. No problem. We'll take care of it. And then the other thing was that he needed the cash from the close to get into his new home. And so he needed a little bit of like, I think it was like a week or 2 in the home before he transitioned into his apartment after closing. Absolutely, we can do that. And I'm like, how do you do that? Like, she's showing me, okay, well,
Oh,
we'll do
good.
this addendum for like I think it was a lease by at least day by day. So he, if he went over a certain amount of time in the home, then he'd have to pay a certain amount. But it all worked out really well. Like we were able to help the homeowner transition in his new place. And, I didn't make like the biggest assignment, but it was a 10,000 assignment that I made in the end. And just the proof of concept, I did
Yes.
this. It was
Yes.
awesome.
Yes, I agree. My first asset hasn't been, it's going to be a long time before I make my money, but it's okay. I'm on the road and it's the proof of concept.
Absolutely.
So, I get it. That is interesting. What is the property we're looking at then?
So this one actually is our very first rental that we purchased out of state in Montana without ever walking the property. And people are always like, wait, you never walked it? I'm like, nope, I have yet to go visit it. So we've owned it for a little over 2 years. And
Wow.
this one, it took me about a year of following up with this homeowner. So that was another thing, is like people need to be on top of their follow-up game, right? And so this one's special to me. I like it because it was our very first property that we ever purchased as a rental. Yeah.
Yeah. Hello, Gabriela.
Hi,
Look at the
Gabriela.
sweet house that Carolina bought in Montana. Well,
In Montana. Yep.
And you're still collecting rent on it? How many
We
tenants
are.
have you had in there? Or has that
So
been
we've
okay?
had, I want to say we've had 3 turnovers already. And it's so funny because every time we have a turnover, I always, like, a little piece of me kind of panics, like, oh my gosh, what do we have to fix now? So thank goodness for the war chest. Stephen is so good. That is what Stephen's really good about. He does the profit first model with Relay, and we have our bucket, our little buckets for the reno and all the things. Oh, that's right. Thank you, Stephen. We also did a light reno on this before listing it to our tenants, and our property manager actually took over and did the renovation for us. So we never had to go to Montana, which was really awesome.
So you did have a property manager.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was that calming to you, or was that another reason to be a little anxious? Like, are they stealing money from us? Are they
I think it helped. No, I think it helped because I talked to quite a few. Some of them gave me that icky feeling again. Again, my gut, but this one, they've been in business for a long time. They have their team set up, and we had a really cool, the person that we were working with, Jessica, was just phenomenal, very good at communicating with us. Thank goodness for our phones with FaceTime, because we were able to walk the property on video without actually having to be there. And of course we did our inspections and we did a sewer scope. I mean, I'm never going to buy anything without inspecting it. I'm not there yet. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Got to be smart, right? Like I would prefer spending a couple $100s on an inspection than
For sure.
getting the crazy sticker shock afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah. And you think, why didn't I? Why didn't I? So yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that it is helpful to definitely have that sort of a,
insight.
Network. Yeah. And insight in the property. And Stephen is saying, don't forget insurance.
Oh, that's right. So that property also being Montana. And so that home's a little older. I want to say it was like a 1930 build, but I didn't want to not come through. So I was originally going to wholesale that thing. And then everybody that I was marketing it to wanted it at the price that I had it at. So for me, I'm like, I don't want to cancel on this person. And I couldn't go any lower because it's what he owed on the property. We ended up getting like one of those really nice rates of like 2.375. Like we actually bought that one conventionally ourselves. He had about 20,000 in arrears. So it was either pay the arrears or just do a down payment and get this really sweet interest rate. So we're like, we're just going to do that instead. And so when I used to be in insurance before becoming a mom, so I'm like, we're just going to make sure. Yeah, property and casualty. And I think that's why I don't mind talking on the phones. I'm like, it's fine, just we'll talk. So, but yeah, with that property, like my gut said, okay, it's an older home. Yes, we did do our inspections, but pay that extra $100. It's $100 a year for like some sort of sewer, like line premium out there. And I'm so glad we did, because about a year into it, one of the pipes burst. Had it been here in Oregon, it would have been like crazy expensive. Over there, it was like a $5,000 renovation. They did it within 24 hours. You would not see that here in Oregon. Like, I'm sorry. Like they fixed that thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then our insurance covered it. It was great.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. I'll have to have a talk with you about insurance separately.
Okay.
I can use a little education on that for sure. Um, so that was your first rental.
Mhm.
Um, please talk to us a little bit about this beauty. Oh, I'm going to have to do it again.
Ah,
It's okay. I don't know why. Let me see. Oh, there we go. Got it. See? Oh no.
oh, man.
See, you didn't.
There it is.
Yeah, there we go.
So, yeah, so this one was our very first sub-2 hybrid that we actually got on market with an agent. Um,
Okay, wait. So with an agent, you got a sub 2 hybrid. For
yep.
people that are just coming on and don't necessarily know, what is that?
What is
What's a
that?
hybrid? Right?
So,
As a
yeah,
sub 2, of course, we didn't talk about that,
right.
but why don't you first
Yeah.
give a sentence on sub 2 and then talk about the hybrid?
Okay. So, subject to basically means that this homeowner had a mortgage in place, right? And so we're buying the property subject to the existing mortgage, which means the mortgage stays in place in their name. We become the new homeowners. We take over that mortgage payment every single month. So, we're the ones making the payment, just the loan stays in place. We don't touch it. And the reason this one's a hybrid is because there was a mortgage and there was just maybe, I'm trying to remember, about 25,000 in equity that they had left. So it's a hybrid because we're making their mortgage payment, and now we're also making them payments on their equity each month. So they get 2 payments. On this one, it was on market. It was listed with an agent. It was around the holidays, which historically around the holidays, sales tend to slow down, right? People don't typically, at least here in Oregon, we actually have seasons and it gets cold.
Yeah,
Nobody
I
wants
think
to
in a lot of
move.
places they do. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so it had been sitting on the market for a good while. And the funny thing is with this agent, I had talked to her before. So she recognized my name. And so, she knew I was looking for properties. And so I asked her, what was going on? Why wasn't it moving? And she's like, people keep offering less than what it's listed for. So then he would actually have to cut a check for $10,000 to sell this house. And, what happened is that they had a baby and they decided they wanted to live closer to family. So they had moved out of the property already. So they're paying rent and they're paying this mortgage every single month around the holidays. So that was the pain point, is they needed to sell this thing. They weren't getting any offers on market. And so I asked the agent, hey, if we can find a way to get the full asking, get you paid your agent commission. I didn't pay the buyer's agent because I'm not an agent. There was no buyer's agent. So she got her agent commission, and we were able to put a couple $1,000s in the homeowner's pocket for Christmas, which who doesn't want that, right? We just catered it to him and his family, and created a win. So on that one, I got a nice 15-year balloon on it. So I have 15 years to essentially play with the property.
Mhm.
And we ended up doing a lease option with another family. So the
Oh,
family that's in there right now, they're working on building their credit, and they're renting pure rental right now. And then in a couple of years, they're going to be able to have the option to buy the house if they want to. So
very
we
nice.
helped 2
Very nice.
families, which was really cool.
Yes, that is really cool on both the front and back end.
Mhm.
So, in this hybrid, you put money in the pockets of the seller. Did you also do a monthly payment to the seller?
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Okay. All right. Pretty cool. This is a beautiful little house. Where is
Isn't
it?
it so cute? It's out here in Salem, Oregon.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice
Yeah.
indeed. I think that that's pretty awesome that you've done that well. And yeah, Gabriela says she loves the story. I do too. I
Aw,
think it's
thanks.
awesome.
Yeah.
Very, very
It was
nice.
fun. Yep.
So you've done wholesales,
Mhm.
you've done local purchases, you've done a couple of virtual ones, and cash and creative.
Yeah.
That's awesome. In 4 years, you've got good experience.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very nice. Very nice. And talk to us a little bit about where is it that you would like to take the real estate trip for you? Where are you
Yeah.
headed?
Where am I heading? I mean, my first goal really is I want to retire my husband so he can do this full time, and I know that's going to come over time. But just continuing to do more wholesaling, and then continuing to buy for our portfolio, because at the end of the day, our portfolio, our cash flow is what's going to replace his income and make it so that we can retire. And
Mhm.
then over time, when we're down the road, when we're set, I would love to at some point. I feel like I have two organizations that I want to create, to help others, because I do want our money to have a bigger purpose than just help the Allen family. I
Mhm.
would love to be able to set up a foundation to help families that are coping with mental health diseases, and help them, regardless of whether or not they have their citizenship, regardless of whether or not they have health insurance. Like, that should just be a basic need. It's so needed right now. And then the other one is, I think it always goes back to food, because I like cooking. I've always loved feeding people. I want to have some sort of charity or organization where, no matter, again, it goes back to the children. I just think of little Carolina, right? Going back to the children, regardless of your financial situation or your citizenship, no child should be hungry in this country, being as rich as it is. So, yeah, that's my big, big, big goal down the road.
Mhm. Well, that is pretty cool. Pretty cool, my dear. I'm very, very impressed. All right. Not a small thing, a
No,
big thing.
yeah,
Very, very big. And then, of course, you also indicated about the providing food for
yes.
children. That's a lot. That's an awful lot. So you definitely have a heart for giving, whether it was to originally, it showed itself as wanting to go to nursing school or to do that sort of thing. And you definitely are known as a giver in the community we're both in, which is Sub 2.
Yep.
Talk to me a little bit about when you joined Sub 2 and the things that you are doing, because I know about them, but I'd like for you to share with the audience.
Oh, so when I joined Sub 2, so we joined March of 21. And I will say it was thanks to that first mentorship, because we met some great students and they ended up being Sub 2 students as well.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. So, it's about networking and people telling you where to go and what to do, right? So, yeah, so we joined the community. And at the time, I mean, I want to say we only had just under 2,000 students in our little Sub 2 membership. It's definitely grown since then. But at the time here in Oregon, there really wasn't like the community feel. And so I've always just kind of like took it upon myself, and I just started doing meetups. I'm like, hey guys, let's get together, or let's try to, team up and collaborate and just, meet up. So every month I just started setting up meetups, and slowly the community just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And so I guess I just kind of, became the regional leader for Sub 2. It just kind of fell into my lap, I guess, just out of necessity. And then, yeah, it was great. It was great. It really, I grew a lot doing that. It really was, I was very fortunate. I really enjoyed doing it.
How
But
many
then
people showed up at your first meetup?
I want to say there was maybe like 5 or 8 of us. It was under 10. There was really not that many. Yeah, yeah. And then slowly, I mean, we probably, I don't know how many, maybe like 30, 40 people over time. I mean, it's grown quite a bit. So, yeah, yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, it's interesting because in the Northwest, it's a little bit, it's not like, the Mecca where, Pace lives, or even like Florida or New York, where there's a lot of people.
Mhm.
When I was living in Vancouver, I think I mentioned to you, I had thought about coming down, but first COVID stopped me, because of the border closure.
Yeah.
And then it seemed like it was a really long distance. I don't know. But I thought it was so cool that on the other side of the border, there were these people that were connecting
Yeah.
in person. I was like,
Yep.
really? Because I had, I don't know, it was a year that before I ended up meeting anybody.
Yeah.
And meeting somebody made it very real. So I'm sure that was a huge help to the others in the group, especially if they were a little bit on their own, because when you do work with other people, it makes you feel like if they can do it, I can do it too.
Oh, 100%. And, I love the Zooms and everything, but there's something to be said about actually meeting the person and
Oh,
like,
for
oh, you're
sure.
taller than I thought you were. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Or shorter, or
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah,
exactly.
for sure.
Exactly. So, yeah.
So talk to us about this Facebook group you have.
Oh my gosh. So Dealmaker Squad. Yeah, I started that group over a year ago. It used to be coffee and calls with Carolina, because even though I'm here on the screen with you, I am a little bit of an introvert at heart. Going back to my childhood, I was just, doing the work. I don't need the spotlight, but I noticed that a lot of people were starting to join, wanting to do real estate, just kind of felt lost, didn't know what to do. And so I started doing in-person sessions, just kind of helping them to just get more comfortable on the phone, so they didn't have to hang up on the agent like I did on that first on that first call. Like, just knowing, so I would get on the calls if they needed me to. Stephen and I were there helping out. So it was really cool. It was fun. I just wanted to give back in that sense. And, with the end result of, us squatting up and doing the deal together, and, me holding their hand and that kind of thing. Over time, it's morphed into a Zoom call. So now we do every Tuesday at 9:30, I do an in-person session, or I'm sorry, Zoom call with everybody, and they join. We do role plays, we do questions and answers, and people are sending me leads that way, which is great. I've gotten a chance to help newbies get their very first deal, which is awesome. I know that was something that I would have liked on my first deal, just having that hand holding, showing the process from start to finish. So yeah, it's been great.
That's awesome. That is really awesome. And I think that when I took a look, if I recall, you were closer to 400 people at this point.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is. That is. So guys, if you want to join Carolina live without Effie, because, you don't need me, she's the one with all the experience, go ahead and check out her Facebook. Is it open to anyone? Like, talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was screening people, but I'm like, you know what? As long as you're taking action and you're really like wanting to do the work, absolutely come in, and it's free. I don't charge anybody. I know some people do, but yeah, just come on in. Let's get some deals done together. Yep.
You can find it by Googling, Facebook Deal Maker Squad, and that will take you right to it. The link that I have isn't a live one. I guess maybe I could drop it in. Hold on. Can I drop it?
I put it in there.
Oh, did you drop it? Oh, maybe Steven dropped it. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Okay. So sorry, I'm going back and forth here,
No worries.
So
no worries.
they can be from sub.
It could be anybody.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be just sub 2. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't have to be just.
We don't discriminate.
Well, there you go. There you go. And it's a way for you to get connected, and it really helps not to be on your own, and especially if you're not sure what you want to do yet. And if this is all new to you, having a place like that where you can, check things out and talk with people, like Julie says, that's a huge blessing.
Aww.
Yeah. And it is very, very good information. I have to agree. And yes, thank you, Julie. She's having Melissa Palmer tomorrow. So I noticed that too. I was like, dang, she's getting lots of, good people coming on.
She's awesome. She's amazing.
Yep. So it is good to be able to meet in person. And if you get a deal that comes your way, that's just karma. That's just karma for sure. Talk to me about in sub 2. We have a very large community. What have you found to be the greatest joy and the greatest challenge?
Ooh. So the greatest joy, I became a sub 2 coach. I want to say, how long has it been? It's been a little over a year, maybe a year and a half. That's been really fun. I just, it goes back to helping people. So do not at all claim to know everything, because none of us do. Like, we're always trying to, increase our knowledge in this arena. But it's been really fun helping the new students that are coming in that are executive students. So if you are an executive student, book a call. I'd love to help you in your journey. And then what else? What was the other question? So biggest challenge and most rewarding?
Because, nothing's one way. Yeah. Usually you're both. And I love sub 2, but I have to ask you some questions that cause you to think.
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. I think also the other thing that I've loved is the sales training that we get in there, right? Because I had no clue what the heck I was saying at first. But that's okay. And then the biggest challenge, I would say, for like on a personal level, I think getting into this industry, you don't realize how much rejection you're going to get, right? Going for the no. I mean, I want to say what, 95% of the time you're going to get no's before you get a yes. And
Mhm.
so, I'm a recovering people pleaser. So that was definitely something that I had to work on with my mindset, and just realize that the homeowners that we work with, it's just such a tiny, tiny pool of people, right? And it's people that are seriously in need of help. So, yeah, that was something that I had to work on to be okay. Like, okay, cool. You're not my person. On to the next.
Mhm. Yeah. It was interesting when you said you bought that, um, your first rental, was it?
Mhm.
Was that the one that was cash?
That was cash. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And in a way, I kind of thought, wow, you were determined to help them. Like you
Yeah.
couldn't just walk away.
Yeah.
So that does come a little bit with being a giver and also pleasing, because they need to be helped.
Yes.
So
For
in
sure.
some ways you're like, okay, this one I will buy, for sure, for
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
What would you say to yourself if you were going to look back 4 years ago when you were just starting? What
Mm.
advice would you give you know, it seems like not that far away
Yeah.
because it's 4 years, but I know what 4 years in this industry means.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what kind of advice would you give to yourself, or what would you tell yourself to do or not do?
Yeah. So I think something that I wish I would have done sooner is start marketing myself. And I think at the beginning it felt kind of dirty. I don't know. I don't know why it felt dirty, just because I don't feel like I'm a salesperson, right? So I think just marketing yourself and just telling people what you're doing, even if you haven't done a deal yet, like check out what I just learned, or look at this new person that I met, or, just start documenting your journey, because that's been huge. Once I started doing that, and it also was my introvertness, right? I don't want to be in the spot. Like I was kind of like fighting my own personality, not wanting to get on the spotlight, but I did it. Our awesome mentor, like, he's like, "Why aren't you marketing yourself?" I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, fine. So, I started getting onto IG more, and I like that because I've gotten more comfortable in front of the camera. It's put me being uncomfortable is just part of the process, and just embrace it. Like, you're never going to be fully comfortable. And if you are comfortable, it's time for you to level up. So, um, yeah, I think getting on IG has been good for me. I've gotten private money lenders from there. I've gotten people sending me leads. So just tell people what you're doing. Just tell them that you're buying or you're helping homeowners or whatever the case may be in this area. It'll be really, really helpful.
Yep, for sure. And I've noticed, I've enjoyed you from the get go. So
Oh,
I've been watching a lot of that posting that you've done, and I have to say that I've seen you really blossom.
thank you.
But I get the same feeling. I mean, I don't like being in front of the camera. I like looking at my guests because if I catch a glance of myself, I'm like, "Ugh,"
You're so sweet. I love you.
It's true. And I've always been behind the camera, not in front of it.
Yeah,
So, to think I had this podcast is going, as well past a year now, it's just amazing.
it's incredible.
And I kind
Congrats,
of,
girl.
well, thank you. But I felt a little bit bullied a bit, that I had to do it because Pace and Abraham didn't give me much choice.
They're good at pushing us to do things that we don't want to do, but it's that, what is it, the tough love, right? Because they're doing it because they know it's going to be good for us in the end.
Right, right. I totally agree. I totally agree. And I do think also, that being able to, like Julie, for example, let's talk about Julie for a
Oh,
second.
I love Julie.
Like she's not here. It's awesome to see Julie doing her daily walks and, talking sometimes to herself, other times specific advice. It's interesting to see what's happened.
Mhm.
It's interesting to see because if I go a few days and I don't catch one, I'm like, oh, what's going on? Why am I missing it?
Yeah.
So it is awesome to see that happens. And some people do seek the camera, but most of us don't. So
Agreed.
in our society, it's kind of weird because, really, do we want
Yes.
to do that? I'm with you, Josh. You gotta do it. You gotta do it. Yeah. So it is interesting to see that will end up giving business
Mhm.
and giving a voice,
Yes.
because you mentioned kind of momentarily, but still, the issue of feeding children
Mhm.
and, of helping with mental health.
Mhm.
Well, you know, I'm sure that there are going to be people that go, "Oh, that's interesting. That's not real estate." And that's, part of what she wants to accomplish with her life. It makes people realize that there is more, and that it's a helpful thing. Exposure, giving exposure.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
Yeah. And even to the journey, of course, of real estate, right? Oh, she's inching closer to a podcast. Yay, Julie!
I love that. That's awesome.
Yep, she's going to get support, that's for sure. But it is a huge commitment. I'll say that
Yes.
too.
Yes.
Meaning that you're constantly, you got to take the time for it, and take it seriously. And you got to persist even if you don't want. Sometimes, not
Yes.
that I've been that way, but one day I canceled because I was sick.
You were sick. You had to. You poor thing.
Yeah,
You couldn't even talk that day.
yeah. So, what would you say to if you could go forward, let's say 4 or 5 years, which
Mhm.
is like a lifetime, right? You don't know where you're going to be exactly, but
Yeah.
I can imagine that you're going to be from where you started 4 years ago to now.
Mm.
If that's X, darn well that from here to 4 years, it's going to be more than X, because scales of economy, acceleration, all of that. What do you think you're going to be, want to say to that person that's out there 4 years from now?
4 years from now.
Because
Wow.
you do have a lot of quality, and quality reimagined. I know that you are raising the bar, but what have you learned in those 4 years that you would say, "Hey, remember this," or "Watch
Wow.
out for that"?
I think it's about trying to enjoy the journey, really, because I feel like, and I don't want to make it, a man's world versus us women in this industry, but it is. I mean, the reality is I am a mom, and I have kids at home still. So last year was crazy. It was such an eye opener because I feel like I was just on the go, 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 and so into the business. And now my daughter, like, she's graduating high school. Like, where the heck did this time go? Right. And so we have to try to balance. And that I've talked about that for a while, about balancing, like, how do you balance the business and raising a family? I think sometimes people that are starting out in this industry that are single and don't have kids have almost like an advantage because you don't have to balance all of that. Yes, you might be working a job, absolutely, but it just hits home a little different, right? So my kids are amazing, and I love that they force me to take time to be with, like, not in a bad way, they force me to turn off the real estate for a little bit so then I can focus on this. And it's a good thing because otherwise it can just consume you. And just, I think also as humans, we want the right now button and we want everything like, let's get this done. But it's a long play. And I think just realizing that and giving yourself grace and trying your best to just, I mean, for me, when I started, I wanted the freedom and freedom of time. And I'm like, I'm working harder than I ever have. So no,
Where's the
this,
freedom of time?
this is not freedom of time. So we're kind of sold on the idea that it's going to be like, easy. You're going to get it overnight. It's not overnight. It just isn't.
No.
It's a long play.
Just
Um,
lend and you'll make a fortune. You're saying,
no,
wait,
oh my
that
gosh.
guy's got my fortune. Come back here.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I do understand exactly what you're saying. And yeah, especially health wise and things, I think that sometimes you just have got to pay attention to that.
Big time,
Um,
big time.
whether it's a step back or whether it is age itself. But Julie's saying,
He wants the easy. I know,
where's the
don't we all?
easy
We
button?
all want that, yes. But if it was easy, what do they say? Everyone would be doing this, and so, yeah,
That's
I
right.
know.
That's right. That's right. So, are your children basically going to be going to college, or do you think any of them want to follow your footsteps?
People ask me that, and I was like, I don't know if I want to tell you that they're going to college because I know everyone's got their own opinion on that. But to me, it's like I'm not here to force my dreams on them. Like they're their own humans, and I want them to have that choice. So yes, they are going to college. Our son, he
That's what
is.
they want to do.
That is what they want to do, and I'm grateful that we're able to help them with it. That's awesome because I know with me and Stephen, we had humble beginnings, and so college was something that if we were going, we had to pay for it ourselves. And so I'm glad that we've been able to help them, and real estate has helped a little bit with that too. Um, so for our son, he still has the entrepreneur mindset, to be honest with you. So he's got his clothing line, he's got his LLC that he set up
He
with
has a
Prime
clothing
Corporate.
line.
Oh yeah, he cracks me up. He's just amazing. He does booths over the summer and sells his products. He even read
Cool.
the Go Giver, and I'm like, you are such a smart kid because he does this. I don't know if he wants me to share, but whatever, I'll do it. But he does this. So he learned how to do film editing and videography and got himself a nice camera and all the things. Like he's so crazy smart. But he wanted to start going to all of these hip hop rap artist concerts. But they cost, a couple $100. And when you're a college student and you're kind of struggling to make ends meet, he's like, how do I get in there? So he started connecting with the managers of the artists. Hey, can I come in here and just, do a free video for you guys? Is that okay? And so that got him free passes to the concerts. He does the video. And then on top of it, he brings some of his clothing line, which is like usually like a beanie or something like that with his company logo on there. And he gives it to the artist. Next thing he knows, the artist is wearing it. He gets to post it on Instagram. I'm like, all this from being a go-giver and just like giving really awesome service. He gets to watch a concert that he wants to watch. And now he's getting business because the artist is wearing his clothing. I'm like, so smart.
Have you been looking over my shoulder and listening to Pace?
Right. So I think that's so
That would
incredibly
be like
amazing.
right up his alley, right? He'd be
Yeah.
like, yeah, do it.
Totally.
I think
So
that's
yes.
fantastic. That's fantastic. Very interesting. It's also interesting that you're okay with them doing what they want to do.
Oh yeah. I want them to be happy. I think when parents force their vision onto the child, it's not because they're doing it because they want to. It's they're doing it to please mom and dad, and that's just a recipe for disaster, I think. And I'm very spiritual. I think God put us all on this planet with our own, path, and we need to figure out what that is and what makes us happy. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I want for them. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. But to a certain degree, because my daughter wanted to do design, and she did go to one of the top design schools in the country, and that's awesome. I'm happy for her. My son wanted to do film, and he got in via scholarship.
Okay.
Half, it was half was paid by scholarship to a very exclusive school. And he didn't finish the first year.
Oh no.
I was paying the other half,
Yeah.
which I was happy to do.
Yeah.
But when he dropped out, it became his bill.
Yeah. Oh shoot.
I was like, that's not okay.
Yeah. But sometimes they have to learn those lessons.
Yeah. But I was like,
that's okay.
Yeah, go do what you want to do, but I'm not going to be out. And I was unhappy that the scholarship, in a way, was wasted. They had 300 applicants.
Wow. But everything happens for a reason.
See this sometime. Okay, I'll have to tell him the Carolina Allen interview was the most boring thing I did.
Yeah, don't watch it. It was awful.
I'll be like, yeah, that's one you can skip. but we're talking, sometimes you forget, in a way. But
girl talk. Yep.
Well, I was fine. I was fine with him doing what he wanted to do. But I didn't like him not finishing.
Yeah.
Because he was so young, he had time. He has time still.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. But I agree. And who knows what they're going to do? I mean, look at my daughter. I mean, she's having a kid now, and she brought me to Chicago, which I'm not happy about. But I
that
love
baby
the baby.
is so cute too.
I
oh my
know, I love
gosh,
the baby.
Oh,
I love her.
so
But
fun.
It's kind of how it goes.
Yes.
Anyhow, so we are at an hour. I wanted to. I think I did post your IG. Do you have YouTube?
I do not. Do not shame me. No, I'm just kidding. I
Shame.
know. I know.
What
No, I'm just
shame?
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, I do not. I'm getting better about doing IG lives lately, so that's been my little challenge right now, that I'm doing for myself to get better in front of the camera. But yeah, it's
You're
on the
good in
list.
front of the camera.
Oh, I
You have
appreciate
great
you.
eye
Thank you.
contact. You're
Thank
easy to
you.
look at. You're funny. You know, I mean, I'm amazed that even people, don't run away and that we still have people watching here
You're
because I just
awesome.
feel
No,
like I'm such a
I've loved watching your journey. You're amazing, and yeah, you're an inspiration for sure, Effie. I love you,
well,
lady.
you are welcome back here anytime you want,
Oh,
lady,
thank
because you are
you.
so easy to speak with, and I love what you are doing.
Thank you.
And uh, I'm not shaming you, but this Donna Bell, she's
I know.
encouraging you.
I know. There, yes, that's a better word. Yes, let's say that.
Yeah. But again, it is a commitment.
It
So
is.
I do say take your time and, wait till you're ready on it, that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
But I would like to say thank you very much for being here.
Thank you
Guys,
for having me.
please go and follow her on IG if you're not already. And feel free to follow me if you don't follow me already and all that sort of stuff. I'm getting better. Like Julie had said, hit that like button. I was like, oh, yeah,
Ooh,
let me
yeah.
focus that because I always forget. I'm getting a little bit better.
I
But
love it. I love it. Thank you so much for having me, Effie.
are you kidding?
Appreciate
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Thank you for redefining quality. I mean, it's just who you are and that you're doing awesome. I'm very, very, very proud of you.
Thank you. Appreciate
All
it.
right, everyone. We shall say goodbye until next week. Enjoy, and we shall see you next week.